The worst conversation, in my opinion, that happens on sports radio is this one right here. The conversation about if this is the year for the Dallas Cowboys. Ryan, is this the year the Cowboys finally break through and get to the NFC title game? I believe this is the year they finally get to the Super Bowl. This is the Cowboys' year. Every single year, we have this discussion. And come playoff time, every single year, the discussion ends the same way. The Cowboys lose a game they shouldn't. Their season ends earlier than it should. And they have a disappointing postseason performance. I'm sick of that conversation. Because no matter how much you try to tell people, no matter how much you try to separate the regular season from the postseason, fans still conflate the two and think this is finally Dallas's year. They're going to break through. And so I want to thank the Dallas Cowboys today for putting an end to what I think is the worst conversation in sports radio that happens on a yearly basis. They put an end to that by week 3. Thank you, Dallas, for this performance we saw today. Because this team is dead. They're not making the postseason. This is not a playoff team. To steal a line from the late, great Denny Green, the Cowboys are who we thought they were. And that is a mediocre team. I tried to tell you before the year started, Dallas is not making the playoffs. Some of you smartly listened, others didn't, and now you're seeing the reality 3 weeks in. This is not a playoff team. Because the Cowboys you are seeing right now are a team that has a good quarterback, but as we know with Dak Prescott, not a great quarterback when it comes to beating the good teams and playing well against the good teams. The Cowboys are a team that has a great wide receiver in CeeDee Lamb, but nothing else behind him. The Cowboys are a team whose offensive line, I should say, got worse from last year to this year. The Cowboys are a team where their defense has regressed from last year to this year. And the Cowboys are a team that overall is poorly coached. You add all of that up, you know what it equals? A team sitting at home in January. This team is mediocre. Nothing more than that. All the areas we have highlighted in the offseason flared up and reared their ugly heads today in the loss to the Ravens at home. Dak Prescott, if you look at the box score, maybe you saw a few highlights, don't get fooled. 379 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, all of it came in garbage time. It was 28-6 in the fourth quarter. This Cowboys offense, when it mattered most, got nothing going whatsoever. Dak stunk when Dallas needed him most in this game, which is a big game for both teams. There should have been some high urgency to get off to a good start. You had the Ravens explode to 2 quick touchdowns, and you had the Dallas offense yet again stuck in neutral. Speaking of which, actually, Dak Prescott talked about after the game fittingly and talked about how this offense, yet again, needs to get going early.
It's a game that we've got to go score 30 in. We know it. We didn't do it. Started late. That's the biggest part of it. The penalties, some errors, I guess you can say, just whether it be alignment, whether it be assignment, we've got to be cleaner. We've got to lock in and be more focused on our job and take accountability every position and grow.
Remember those words. We have to be cleaner. We have to get off to a faster start. I'll circle back to them here in a little bit, but everything Dak said is correct. This offense did not get out of the gates for the first 3 quarters. They stunk when Dallas needed them most. By the time the game was already, for the most part, put away before the Ravens try to do what they do best, which is blowing fourth quarter leads. We'll get to that a little bit later on the show. It was too little too late. That's when they finally got going way too late in this game. But that's been a common theme for the Cowboys. Not only their offense getting off to slow starts, but their defense crapping the bed. Their defense stinks. Their defense stinks. A week after allowing 190 rushing yards to the Saints at home, how they followed up that effort with a team that struggled to run the ball consistently in the Baltimore Ravens coming to your house. You allow 274 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns, 6.1 yards per carry. They ran right through you. You had no stopping, no chance of stopping this run game for Baltimore whatsoever. That's now 2 weeks in a row the performance you put up. I tried to tell you that I really thought, even though the names and the faces on Dallas's defense are the most part of the same last year to this year, they would sorely miss Dan Quinn. Do you believe me now? You watch this defense. Again, the names are the same. The defensive performance, the efficiency is completely opposite. Mike Zimmer cannot put these guys in positions to succeed. You heard it on the broadcast. Yeah, Tom Brady and Kevin Burkhardt talking about how this defense felt like they were guessing, and they were. They didn't know if it was going to be a run or a pass, left or right. Is it Lamar going to keep it, or is Derrick Henry going to run right up the middle? Either way, didn't matter. They're having a lot of success. But it felt like everything the Cowboys thought defensively was coming from the Ravens offensively, they guessed wrong. If they thought it was going to be a run to the left, it was a run to the right. If they thought it was going to be a run up the middle, it was a pass to the outside. I felt like they were always chasing, always guessing incorrectly, always out of position, which is how you allow 274 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. When Lamar didn't throw a ton, but when he did, he was efficient and really had no pushback whatsoever from the secondary of Dallas. Mike Zimmer has done an awful, awful job as defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys in getting these guys lined up, putting them in the right positions to succeed, and just having them circle the ball, take the ball away, just make the right play.
Get your damn act together.
Zimmer has to get his act together. It's been terrible. And the biggest thing we can learn now is that week 1 was a mirage. The great defensive effort they put up against the Browns, I think most of us thought, okay, that's definitely a lot on Deshaun Watson, but wow, this Cowboys defense, whew, they are good. Boy, do they get after the quarterback. Boy, are they tough. No. Week 1 now is more of an indictment on the Browns offense than anything else. Because this defense from Dallas, when they play a competent offense, even in this case, a struggling Ravens offense coming in, they have shown zero resistance so far.
How about them Cowboys? Yeah.
It's really concerning. It is horrific. And right now, there's no signs of turning it around anytime soon. So Dak, yet again in a big game, struggles to get out of the gate early. Defense puts the team in an early hole. You look right now at this offense, again, when CeeDee Lamb is getting double and triple covered, there's no safety outlet. There's no one else Dak trusts either in the run game, which right now is a complete non-factor, or in the passing game. You had Jake Ferguson go off a little bit, but still, other than that, you have no one else the defense fears. And so that's how you get a CeeDee Lamb outburst on the sidelines when he's not getting the football. He's not getting the football because Baltimore, rightfully so, put 3 guys on him and said, you know what? Who else are you going to throw to, Dak? Make anybody else beat us. And for most of the game, nobody could. The offensive line is not getting a push whatsoever. Again, the run game right now has been horrific. Part of that's on the running backs. Again, Zeke has no gas on the tank whatsoever. But even if it was Derrick Henry, because that's always been a popular, discussion. I saw Jerry Jones had to talk about how they couldn't afford Derrick Henry's 2-year, $16 million contract. Give me a break. That's on you, Jerry. But even if it was Derrick,
let me answer.
Even if it was Derrick Henry in the backfield for Dallas, where's he running? What holes are opening up that he's running through? There aren't any. This offensive line, again, with how young it is, got worse last year compared to this, or this year, I should say, compared to last year. Everything is bad, and that's why this should not be a shock. This was predictable. It all starts in the offseason with what the Cowboys didn't do. Jerry Jones, as not only owner but GM, did nothing to improve this team. And that's why we're talking and sitting here talking about the same things happening over and over and over again. Nothing we saw today was a shock, was a surprise, was something we haven't seen before. Go back to any big game the Cowboys have been in. What is the recipe for their downfall? Poor defense, slow starting offense, bad penalties, bad coaching. The blueprint on how to beat this Ravens defense was out there. It was out there for the taking. Guess what? Don't run on them. Throw on them. Going into this game, this was the #1 rush defense in the NFL through 2 weeks, but they were 24th in passing defense. We saw Gardner Minshew and the Raiders last week. What led to their 10-point comeback in the fourth quarter? Passing the football. What did Dallas do in the first half? Ran the ball. Why? That's bad coaching. That's bad game planning. Why are you running the ball against the best rush defense in the league with an offensive line that's not opening up any holes when this pass defense, when this secondary for Baltimore right now is struggling mightily? They ran the ball 10 times in the first half to the tune of 3.2 yards per carry. Again, not a surprise. And those words, not a surprise, are the most, I think, important words here. Nothing we saw today was a shock. I told you to remember what you heard from Dak earlier, about 5 minutes ago. Everything he has said, slow, starting slow, needing the offense to be better, playing clean, mistake-free football, not turning it over, not committing penalties. Everything Dak mentioned in that clip you just heard is everything you could say about what has gone wrong for the Cowboys over the last decade. Anytime they play in a big game. Really, the last 25 years. And that's why you could point the finger at Dak and Mike McCarthy and Mike Zimmer. This all starts with the man up top, Jerry Jones. He is not a real GM. What he is just a promoter, a master marketer. That's all he is. He garners interest, and his credit, here we are talking about the Cowboys open the show, so he's getting what he wants. He cares more about the headlines than he does winning, which is why he'll leave Dak out to dry when it comes to getting a contract done to the very, very, very last second, which is why he'll make an absolute theater of trying to pay CeeDee Lamb. Well, you know what happened? Guess what? CeeDee Lamb missed most of training camp. Does Dak and CeeDee right now look like they're on the same page? Absolutely not. Could they have used a full training camp together? Absolutely. Jerry thought, you know what? Let's drag this out a little bit. Let's make some people sweat. Let's get our name in the news here. Yeah, we're not going to pay CeeDee. We're not going to pay Dak. We have deficiencies. Yeah, we're not going to do anything about it. We're going to sit idly by in free agency as the teams around us get better. We're going to lose players, but we're not going to bring any in that are better. We're going to bring back Zeke and think it's 2016 all over again when there are better running backs out there that are in their prime and actually have more juice worth the squeeze. We're going to sit back. We're going to do nothing. And we're just going to magically hope these issues that we have get better. And guess what doesn't happen? Those problems getting magically better. Nothing we saw today was a surprise from Dallas, which is why when you look ahead, there's no reason to believe the defense is getting fixed anytime soon. The offensive line is going to improve. This offense in general is going to get better and more consistent. It is going to mean the Cowboys come January are going to be at home missing the playoffs. This is not a playoff team. Week 3 is not too early to say their season is already over.